In a world that praises noise, celebrates attention and rewards, a path where your growth is private, your progress is invisible, your transformation is unseen, your success is built quietly, brick by brick, moment by moment, chapter by chapter. This audiobook is not for people who want applause. It is not for people who need recognition. It is not for people who broadcast their every move. This audiobook is for the quiet ones, the disciplined ones, the focused ones, the ones who are ready to evolve without permission, without validation, and without an audience. Inside these chapters, you will learn the true power of silence, the power to protect your vision, the power to build momentum, the power to reinvent yourself, the power to rise without being noticed, until the world can no longer ignore what you've become. This is your journey, your reset, your rebirth, your awakening. Welcome to Win in Silence, the power of private progress. A new chapter of your life begins right now. Chapter 1. Why silence creates unstoppable success. Some of the greatest transformations in life don't begin with a shout. They begin with a quiet shift inside you, not a dramatic moment, not a public announcement, just a subtle awareness, a realization that the life you want requires a different approach, a quieter approach, a more intentional approach. Success has a sound, and for most people, that sound is silence. Not the silence of doing nothing, but the silence of preparing, building, learning, and sharpening your mind away from noise, judgment, and distraction. In a world where everyone broadcasts their every move, the strongest individuals do the opposite. They protect their goals, they hide their progress, they work in private while others talk in public. Because the truth is simple, noise delays success, silence accelerates it. When you stop telling people what you are about to do, something powerful happens. You finally start doing it. You stop performing for an audience. You stop seeking validation from people who don't matter. You stop leaking your energy through explanations and updates. You reclaim your focus. You reclaim your discipline. You reclaim your power. Some people need noise to feel alive, but those who truly rise, they move with a quiet intensity the world doesn't notice until the results become too big to ignore. Most people waste their energy announcing what they plan to do, explaining what they hope to achieve, and seeking validation before they've even taken their first real step. They talk, they compare, they post, they debate, they seek applause, and in the process they drain the very energy required to succeed. But the most successful people in the world operate differently. They understand a powerful truth. Silence isn't emptiness. It is fuel. It is the environment where real transformation happens. In silence, there is focus. In focus, there is clarity. And in clarity, there is power. Successful people don't announce their goals. They don't broadcast their plans. They don't seek approval. They don't argue with doubters, and they certainly don't need applause. They pour their energy into something far more productive, execution. While others perform for attention, the silent ones perform for results. While others talk about dreams, the silent ones quietly build them. While others rush to be seen, the silent ones prepare to be remembered. Silence removes pressure. Silence removes competition. Silence removes the need to explain yourself. And most importantly, silence removes the distractions that destroy discipline. The moment you stop announcing your next move, you remove expectations from the world, and you free yourself to grow at your own pace, in your own way. Because when you're not watching yourself through the eyes of others, you finally begin to make decisions based on what you truly want, not what looks impressive. You stop living to be understood. You start living to be transformed. This is why the strongest minds choose privacy. They don't need validation to take a step. They don't need applause to feel worthy. They don't need an audience to believe in their path. They know that real growth happens in the unseen, in the moments where consistency meets patience and discipline meets intention. The world may not notice your silent work today, but one day your results will make noise loud enough for everyone. And when that day comes, people will say you came out of nowhere, but you'll know the truth. You didn't come out of nowhere. You came out of silence. Chapter 2. The danger of talking too much. There is a reason the old saying goes, the more you talk about what you will do, the less you actually do. Most people don't realize this, but every time you announce a goal, share your next move, or explain your intentions, your brain gives you a small dose of the same satisfaction you would feel if you actually achieved it. It's an illusion, a psychological trap. When you talk too much about what you plan to do, your mind tricks you into feeling like you've already done something meaningful. But in reality, you haven't taken a single real step. Talking creates a false victory. Silence forces real action. This is why many people stay stuck for years, loud about their goals, quiet about their effort. They say they will start the business. They say they will read more. They say they will work on themselves. They say they will change, grow, become better. But the more they talk, the less they move, because talking becomes the substitute for doing. And slowly, without noticing, they become addicted to the sound of their own potential, instead of the discipline required to fulfill it. Silence removes performance pressure. When you announce your plans publicly, you unknowingly place a spotlight on yourself. Suddenly, instead of focusing on the work, you are focusing on how people see you. You start worrying about judgment. You start fearing failure. You start hesitating because you don't want to look bad. You start performing, not progressing. And the anxiety of what will people think becomes louder than your desire to win. But when you move in silence, that fear disappears. There is no audience. There is no expectation. There is no pressure. You are free to grow at your own pace, make mistakes privately, correct them privately, and rise privately until the day your results make the announcement for you. Talking invites opinions. You don't need people love to share their plans with others because they want encouragement, applause, or support. But in doing so, they forget one truth. Not every voice deserves a seat in your mind. The moment people know your dreams, they begin shaping them. They project their fears onto you. They offer advice they don't live by. They reflect their insecurities into your decisions. They challenge your confidence. They ask questions that plant doubt. And worse, some silently hope you don't succeed, especially if your success will outgrow their comfort zone. Talking too early exposes your dreams to energies that weaken them. Silence keeps your dreams protected, untouched, and uncorrupted. Talking creates competitors. When you announce your plans, you unintentionally invite comparison and competition. People begin to watch you. Some begin to copy you. Some begin to challenge you. Some begin to race you, often in areas you weren't even competing. But when no one knows what you are doing, you remove yourself from unnecessary battles. You stop measuring your progress by someone else's timeline. Silence allows you to stay in your lane, unhindered and uninterrupted. Talking attracts doubts. Silence attracts results. When you talk too much, you give others room to question you. Are you sure that will work? Why would you try that? I don't think that's realistic. That sounds risky. What if you fail? Words that enter your mind and echo in your confidence. But silence removes that noise. Because when no one knows your plans, no one can doubt your plans. And when no one doubts your plans, no one interferes with your mindset. Silence keeps your energy clean. Silence keeps your motivation pure. Silence keeps your confidence intact. Talking wastes energy. Silence saves it. Talking drains the mental fuel needed for real action. Every time you explain, justify, or announce your next step, you lose momentum. You lose focus. You lose time. Silence conserves your energy. It redirects your strength toward execution. You begin channeling all your power inward into effort, discipline, consistency, and results, not outward into conversation, explanation, or validation. Your progress doesn't need noise. It needs protection. The strongest version of you is built in private, not because privacy is dramatic, but because privacy is efficient. When you keep your goals guarded, you gain clarity, you gain control, you gain focus, you gain power. You stop working for recognition, you start working for transformation. And slowly, your life begins to change. Not because you shouted, but because you quietly moved toward what you wanted. And one day, your silence will speak louder than any announcement ever could. Chapter 3. Protect your momentum from the world. Momentum is one of the most powerful forces in your life. It can carry you forward effortlessly, or disappear instantly. And nothing destroys momentum faster than exposure. When you allow too many eyes, too many opinions, too many expectations, or too many distractions into your journey, your progress begins to slow. Not because you aren't capable, but because momentum is fragile and the world is loud. Silence is how you protect it. When you stay quiet, your growth compounds. When you stay focused, your pace increases. When you stay private, your momentum becomes unstoppable. But when you speak too soon, when you share too much, when you expose your process, you open the door for forces that weaken you. Let's explore why. The world wants to see progress, not the process. People applaud results, but they question effort. They cheer achievement, but they criticize the steps it takes to get there. When you talk about your goals, people judge your timeline. When you talk about your plans, they question your logic. When you talk about your dreams, they call them unrealistic. When you talk about your ambition, they misinterpret it as arrogance. Suddenly, instead of focusing on the work, you're fighting battles you never needed to fight. Your mind gets pulled away from progress and into explanations. Your spirit shifts from discipline into defense. Your momentum is interrupted by unnecessary conversations. But when you move in silence, you eliminate all that resistance. You keep your head down and your energy intact. And what happens? You move faster. Every distraction costs you more than you realize. Momentum thrives in consistency. It thrives in routine. It thrives in uninterrupted flow. But distractions, even small ones, break that flow. A conversation pulls you off track. A criticism steals your confidence. A doubt slows your pace. An argument drains your emotional energy. Before you know it, you're not building anymore. You're recovering from the friction of other people's opinions, recovering from the judgment of those who don't understand, recovering from the comparison their comments triggered. Momentum is costly to build, but incredibly easy to lose. Your silence protects the rhythm that makes progress possible. Silence removes the external noise that kills clarity. When you're too open about your goals, your mind becomes crowded with influences that don't belong to you. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone has advice. Everyone thinks they know better. Everyone wants to help. But most people who want to guide you have never gone where you want to go. They speak from fear, not wisdom. From insecurity, not experience. From limitation, not possibility. And when you allow their voices into your journey, you risk losing sight of your own. Your clarity becomes scattered. Your confidence becomes uncertain. Your path becomes blurred. Silence eliminates this noise. In silence, the only voice you hear is your own. The only influence is your intuition. The only direction is your vision. And that is when your growth becomes pure, undiluted by the world. People can't attack what they can't see. When your progress is visible, it becomes a target. Not because people are evil, but because human nature is complex. Some will envy you, some will doubt you, some will misunderstand you, and some will secretly hope you fail because your success challenges their comfort. But when you move quietly, you avoid all these unnecessary battles. People can't sabotage what they don't know. They can't block what they can't see. They can't ruin what isn't revealed. Your momentum stays safe. Your growth continues uninterrupted. Your energy remains protected. Private progress is protected progress. Your energy is limited. Guard it well. Every day, you wake up with a limited amount of focus, discipline, emotional strength, mental clarity, creative power. When you waste even a small amount of that energy on the wrong things, your progress slows. Talking too much drains you. Explaining drains you. Defending drains you. Responding drains you. Justifying drains you. But silence conserves energy. And the energy you conserve becomes the fuel that pushes you forward. The more energy you keep, the more momentum you gain. The more momentum you gain, the faster your transformation becomes. Your breakthrough doesn't require more noise. It requires more silence. Momentum feels slow at first, then suddenly explodes. The early stages of success are quiet. You may feel unseen. You may feel unnoticed. You may feel like nothing is happening. But something is happening. You are building speed. You are creating consistency. You are strengthening your foundation. And momentum grows quietly until it grows fast. When your progress compounds, something magical occurs. Suddenly, everything that once felt difficult becomes easy. Tasks that drained you become natural. Routines that felt heavy feel automatic. Obstacles that intimidated you become irrelevant. What changed? Your momentum. And once your momentum becomes strong enough, nothing, absolutely nothing, can stop you. You become a version of yourself that even you didn't know was possible. Protect your momentum like it's sacred, because it is your momentum is the engine behind your success. It is fragile when it begins, but unstoppable when it grows. Protect it. Protect it with silence. Protect it with discipline. Protect it with boundaries. Protect it with focus. Protect it with intention, because when you guard your momentum, you guarantee your success. Not loudly, not publicly, not dramatically, but quietly, powerfully, and relentlessly. Chapter 4. Why private growth is faster growth. Growth is a deeply personal journey. It demands vulnerability, discipline, honesty, and a willingness to face the parts of yourself the world never sees. That's why true transformation happens faster when it happens privately. Not everything is meant to be shared. Not everything needs to be seen. Not everything is supposed to be understood while it's still forming. Some chapters of your life require privacy, not because you are hiding, but because you are evolving. And evolution, by nature, is an internal process. Public growth is slow, private growth is rapid. When you try to grow publicly, everything takes longer. Why? Because public growth comes with opinions, criticism, pressure, comparison, expectations, self-consciousness, performance anxiety. Every new step feels heavier because you're carrying the weight of being watched. You start analyzing yourself through the lens of others. You hesitate. You second-guess. You become more focused on how the process looks instead of how the process feels. And slowly, your growth slows. But when you grow privately, the pressure disappears. It's just you and the work. Just you and the discipline. Just you and your truth. That is why private growth is faster. No judgment, no eyes, no noise, just progress. You evolve better without an audience. Most people don't realize how deeply the presence of an audience changes behavior. When you know people are watching, you don't behave authentically. You behave self-consciously. You start doing things to be seen, not to grow. You start choosing safer paths because you fear failure. You start editing yourself to fit expectations. You start prioritizing approval over improvement. But in silence, you let go of all that. You try without fear. You fail without shame. You restart without judgment. You experiment without embarrassment. You learn without pressure. You improve without comparison. This is why private growth turns ordinary people into extraordinary individuals. It gives you the freedom to transform without the weight of performance. Your identity can shift without interruption. Every major transformation requires an identity shift. You are letting go of old habits, old beliefs, old patterns, old limitations. You are becoming someone stronger, wiser, more disciplined, more aligned. But identity shifts are delicate. They require consistency, patience, and mental protection. If you expose this phase too early, people may try to pull you back into your old identity. They'll remind you who you used to be. They'll question the new version you are building. They'll interpret your transformation through their limited lens. They'll make comments that trigger self-doubt. But when you grow privately, your transformation becomes uninterrupted. You get the time you need to build this new identity brick by brick, habit by habit, day by day, until it becomes unshakable. Once your identity is solid, no one can pull you back. Silence gives you room to fail safely. Failure is not the enemy, exposure is. When you fail privately, you learn faster, you recover quicker, you adjust with clarity. You don't carry shame, you don't lose confidence, you don't fear judgment. You simply fail, learn, and move on. But when every mistake is visible, you start fearing the process itself. You stop taking risks. You stop experimenting. You stop trying new things. And eventually, you stop growing. Silence gives you the freedom to grow through mistakes without the burden of being seen struggling. Private failures lead to public mastery. Private growth builds real confidence. There is a type of confidence that only comes from doing the work when no one is watching. It's not loud. It's not boastful. It's not performative. It's deep. It's internal. It's rooted in truth. When you grow privately, You don't rely on praise. You don't depend on validation. You don't need to be seen to feel worthy. You don't need applause to feel accomplished. You build confidence from self-trust, not approval. And that kind of confidence is unbreakable. It doesn't fade when people criticize you. It doesn't disappear when circumstances shift. It doesn't crumble when challenges arrive. It is yours, fully and completely. Your best work will always come from silence. Every major breakthrough in your life will be born in silence. Your biggest changes, your biggest improvements, your biggest wins, your biggest realizations, your biggest moments of strength, all begin internally, far from the noise, because silence creates the space where your mind is clear enough to evolve, your emotions are stable enough to grow, and your discipline is sharp enough to transform. If you want to grow faster, grow quietly. If you want to grow deeper, grow privately. If you want to grow stronger, grow in silence, because what happens in private eventually becomes undeniable in public. And when that day comes, your silence will not just protect your growth, it will define your greatness. Chapter 5. The strength of moving without announcement. There is a rare kind of strength found in people who move quietly, a strength that doesn't need recognition, applause, or validation. A strength that comes from knowing who you are, where you are going, and why you are going there, without needing to convince anyone else. Most people announce every step because they need reassurance. They need someone to validate the journey. They need approval before taking action. They need witnesses to feel motivated. But true inner power shows itself when you can begin, continue, and finish a journey without anyone knowing. Moving without announcement is not secrecy. It is emotional maturity. It is mental clarity. It is self-security. It means you trust your direction enough to walk it alone. You don't need permission to grow. Many people delay their transformation because they are waiting for the world to approve it. They wait for support. They wait for encouragement. They wait for the right moment. They wait for someone to say, yes, go ahead. But the truth is, the world rarely gives permission for greatness. If you announce every new idea, someone will question it. If you announce every new goal, someone will doubt it. If you announce every new step, someone will discourage it. Not because your dream is impossible, but because your dream threatens the comfort of others. People who are stagnant feel uncomfortable when they see someone moving. People who gave up feel uneasy when they see someone trying. People who failed feel exposed when they see someone rising. And sometimes, without meaning to, their words can slow you down. When you move in silence, you break free from this trap. You no longer wait for confirmation. You no longer seek approval. You no longer depend on permission. You simply begin. And beginning is what most people never do. Quiet action builds real momentum. Announcing your plans creates noise. Noise creates distraction. Distraction kills momentum. But quiet action, that builds momentum faster than anything else. When you start working quietly, you skip the pressure. You skip the explanations. You skip the debates. You skip the performance. You just work. And work done quietly grows rapidly. You focus more. You think clearer. You finish quicker. You improve steadily. Quiet effort compounds into powerful results. The less you say, the more you do. It's ironic. The loudest people often accomplish the least, and the quietest ones, they are usually the ones building something remarkable. Talking uses energy. Working multiplies energy. Talking seeks validation. Working builds transformation. Talking creates expectations. Working creates results. People who move without announcement aren't shy. They're strategic. They don't hide because they fear judgment. They hide because judgment is unnecessary. They don't stay quiet because they lack confidence. They stay quiet because confidence doesn't need an audience. When you stop talking about your next move, you free yourself to actually make it. Your power grows when your audience shrinks. Your energy changes when you stop living for an audience. You no longer need to impress. You no longer need to justify. You no longer need to perform. You no longer need constant feedback. Your mental state becomes clearer. Your emotions become calmer. Your discipline becomes sharper. Your direction becomes stronger. Growth becomes easier because you are not dragging the weight of other people's opinions behind you. Every step you take becomes yours alone. Pure, quiet, and unstoppable. Silence makes you impossible to predict when people can predict your next move. They can prepare for it. They can copy it. They can sabotage it. They can compete with it. They can limit it. But when you move silently, no one knows what you're building. No one knows where you are heading. No one knows what's coming next. You become unpredictable, and unpredictability is a form of power. Not because you are hiding, but because you are moving with intention, not noise. With clarity, not performance. With purpose, not ego. You stop being a predictable character in someone else's story and become the quiet architect of your own. Doing the work quietly makes you stronger internally. When you don't rely on applause, you don't collapse when it disappears. When you don't depend on encouragement, you don't break when it's not given. When you don't seek validation, you don't fall apart when people don't understand. Silence forces you to develop self-discipline, self-direction, self-validation, self-belief, self-confidence. These internal resources make you unshakable. Your progress stops depending on how people react. Your motivation stops depending on who's watching. Your identity stops depending on external approval. You grow from the inside outward, not from the outside inward. Announce results, not intentions. People rarely remember what you said you would do. They remember what you actually did. And results speak louder than promises. Promises create expectation. Results create respect. Promises draw attention. Results draw admiration. Promises can be doubted. Results cannot be denied. When you do the work quietly, you don't need long explanations. You don't need dramatic stories. You don't need loud announcements. Your results become the announcement. Your transformation becomes the proof. Your new life becomes the explanation, and the world will notice, not because you told them, but because your progress became too powerful to ignore. Chapter 6. The Art of Protecting Your Vision. Every dream begins as a vision, a quiet picture in your mind of what your life could become. But between that vision and its reality lies a dangerous battlefield, and the enemy is often exposure. A vision is delicate in its early stages. It is soft, vulnerable, easily shaken, and easily influenced. It can be strengthened or destroyed, depending on who you allow near it. This is why some people dream loudly but achieve nothing, while others dream silently and build everything. Protecting your vision is not about secrecy, it's about preservation. Because if you expose your vision before it's strong, the world will bend it. If you expose it before it's ready, the world will shrink it. If you expose it to the wrong people, the world will poison it. Your vision needs silence the way a seed needs soil. Your vision should not be public before it is protected. Most people don't understand how fragile their dreams are in the beginning. The first version of a vision is usually the weakest, still forming, still growing, still becoming something recognizable. When you share it too early, people misinterpret it, question it, criticize it, compare it to their own failures, suggest safer alternatives, and project their fears onto you. Suddenly, your once powerful dream begins to shrink. It bends to opinions, adjusts to criticism, and molds itself to other people's limitations. Before you know it, your dream is no longer yours. It becomes their edited version of it. Silence prevents this theft. Silence keeps your vision pure. Not everyone can handle your future. There are people who can only understand you based on who you are today, not who you are becoming. If you tell them your vision, they interpret it through the lens of their limited understanding. So they say things like, "That's too much. That's unrealistic. I don't think that will work. Nobody we know has done that before. Why aim that high?" They aren't trying to hurt you. They simply can't see what you see. Your dream wasn't placed in their mind. It was placed in yours. Their inability to understand it has nothing to do with your ability to achieve it. Silence protects your vision from the limitations of others. Exposure weakens focus. Privacy sharpens it. When you talk too much about your vision, your attention doesn't stay on the work. It scatters. You start thinking about who believes you, who doubts you, who approves, who doesn't, who's watching, who's judging, who's comparing, and who's waiting for you to fail. Your focus is no longer on the mission, it's on the audience. But when you keep your vision private, your focus becomes laser sharp, your discipline strengthens, your motivation becomes internal instead of external, your direction becomes clearer, your decision-making becomes bolder. No distractions, no noise, just progress. A vision needs privacy to grow strong enough to be seen. Think of your dream like a seed that cannot survive outdoors immediately. It needs warmth, protection, time, nurturing, and privacy before it's strong enough to face the elements. The early version of your vision needs quiet planning, private learning, silent preparation, unshared adjustments, and invisible progress. This is how visions evolve into convictions. Convictions cannot be broken. Convictions cannot be doubted. Convictions cannot be talked out of existence, but they must first be developed in silence. When you protect your vision, you protect your future. A vision is not just an idea, it is a preview of the life you are meant to live. It's the blueprint of your potential, the whisper of your destiny, the map to your evolution. If you protect it, it will guide you. If you expose it too early, it will weaken. Every time you choose silence, you protect your clarity, your energy, your timing, your confidence, your direction, and your dream. Silence becomes the shield that allows your future to grow without interference. A strong vision needs action, not announcement. Validation may feel good, but validation does nothing. Only action builds your future. When you protect your vision and pour your energy into action, instead of explanation, everything changes. Your habits sharpen, your mind aligns, your priorities shift, your confidence deepens, your life transforms. Not because the world knew what you were doing, but because you quietly did the work. Your silence today becomes your triumph tomorrow. There will come a moment when everything you've been building behind the scenes reveals itself. And when that moment arrives, it won't look accidental. It won't look lucky. It won't look random. It will look earned. Because the world will finally see the results you built in silence, protected in silence, nurtured in silence, and strengthened in silence. And now your silence becomes your success. Chapter 7. The discipline of staying unseen while you improve. There is a point in every person's journey where improvement becomes uncomfortable, not because the growth is hard, but because staying unseen feels unnatural. We live in a world where visibility is mistaken for progress, and silence is mistaken for weakness. People feel pressured to show their work before it is ready, to display their effort before it is steady, and to talk about their transformation before it has even begun. But true improvement rarely happens where people can see it. Growth loves the dark. Strength loves the quiet. Transformation loves privacy. And the people who rise the highest are the ones who learn how to improve without an audience watching. Staying unseen while you grow is not about fear. It is about focus. It is about choosing progress over attention, mastery over applause, and depth over display. This chapter is about building the discipline to remain invisible long enough to become unstoppable. Most people want recognition before they earn results. This is the biggest trap of the modern world. People want to be seen working harder than they actually work. They post every habit they start. They brag about every goal they plan. They showcase every step of their grind. They announce every intention as if intention alone creates achievement. And in the process, they become performers instead of builders. They trade results for attention. They trade consistency for approval. They trade progress for presentation. But the truth is simple. When you always seek recognition, you exhaust yourself before you even begin. But when you seek progress, quietly, consistently, you build momentum that no one can interrupt. The strongest growth happens when no one is applauding. There is something powerful about working without praise. It teaches you to rely on your own drive. It forces you to develop internal motivation. It strengthens your relationship with discipline. It tests how badly you want the life you claim to desire. When there is no audience cheering, you learn to cheer for yourself. When there is no one to impress, you learn to impress yourself. When there is no external reward, you learn to create internal standards. People who depend on applause eventually slow down. People who depend on discipline never stop. Silence becomes a gym for the mind, a place where mental strength is built independently. You improve faster when you are not being watched. Every part of you grows faster when there is no pressure to perform. You learn without embarrassment. You fail without shame. You experiment without judgment. You restart without explanation. You refine without interference. You evolve without comparison. Think about it. A child learns to walk faster when no one is shouting expectations. A musician practices better when the room is empty. A writer works more freely when no one is reading over their shoulder. We are not designed to grow under constant surveillance. We thrive when the environment is quiet, safe, and free from opinions. Improvement happens fastest when you allow yourself to be imperfect privately. Silence protects you from pressure that kills progress. People slow down their growth, not because the work is too hard, but because they feel watched. The moment others know you are trying to improve, a silent performance begins. You start thinking about their expectations. You start worrying about their judgment. You start trying to avoid mistakes instead of learning from them. You start measuring your growth through their eyes instead of your own. This pressure smothers progress, but staying unseen removes it entirely. When no one knows what you are working on, you grow freely. You grow honestly. You grow without fear. You grow without comparison. You grow without performing. Your progress becomes clean, pure, and uninterrupted. Being unseen gives you room to reinvent yourself. Reinvention is one of the most powerful things a human can experience, but it rarely survives too much exposure. When people know you are trying to change, they cling to the old version of you. They remind you of who you were. They measure your progress against your past mistakes. They hold on to memories that no longer represent you, and that awareness makes reinvention difficult. But when you improve privately, you shed old layers without resistance. You release old habits without commentary. You outgrow old identities without explanation. You become someone new before anyone realizes the transformation has begun. Then one day, the world meets the version of you they didn't expect, because you created it without interruption. Staying invisible doesn't make you weak, it makes you wise. There is strength in not needing to be seen. There is confidence in not needing to announce your intentions. There is maturity in not requiring validation as you grow. It means you trust yourself. It means your direction is clear. It means your discipline is real. It means your vision matters more than attention. Most importantly, it means you understand the difference between performing and progressing. Your silence is not emptiness. It is strategy. It is protection. It is power. Your growth doesn't need witnesses. It needs consistency. A plant doesn't need an audience to grow. A sunrise doesn't need applause to rise. A seed doesn't need validation to break open. Growth is a natural process, not a public event. Your job is not to impress the world with how hard you are working. Your job is to work so consistently that one day the world cannot deny the results. And by the time people notice your progress, they will be too late to stop it. Your growth will be too advanced, too consistent, too deeply rooted to be shaken. That is the reward of staying unseen. The world sees the transformation, not the process. This is how powerful silent growth is. People won't see the nights you stayed up learning. They won't see the tears you cried in frustration. They won't see the failures you overcame. They won't see the hours you spent alone mastering your craft. They won't see the sacrifices you made. They won't see the doubts you fought. They won't see the internal battles you won. All they will see is the stronger version of you that emerged. They will call it luck. They will call it talent. They will call it natural ability. But you'll know the truth. It was built in silence. Chapter 8. There comes a point in your journey where silence stops being a strategy and becomes a superpower. At first, you choose silence because you want to protect your vision. Then you choose it because it helps you stay focused. Then you choose it because it keeps you free from pressure. But eventually, something shifts. Silence becomes a part of who you are. It becomes the invisible armor that shields your peace. It becomes the discipline that protects your growth. It becomes the strength that allows you to walk forward without hesitation. It becomes the identity of someone who no longer needs validation to move with purpose. In a loud world filled with noise, opinions, arguments, and distractions, the person who masters silence becomes unstoppable. Not because they say nothing, but because they understand that not everything needs to be said. This chapter is about reaching that level, the level where silence is not just a tool, but a form of power. Silence gives you control over your energy. Energy is one of the most valuable resources you have. Where you place it determines the quality of your life, the pace of your growth, and the strength of your future. Most people drain their energy by talking too much. They explain themselves to people who don't listen. They defend themselves to people who misunderstand. They argue with people who don't want clarity. They share their dreams with people who don't care. They justify their choices to people who aren't living their life. And without realizing it, their energy becomes scattered in 1,000 directions. But when you master silence, your energy returns to you. You stop explaining. You stop convincing. You stop defending. You stop proving. You stop wasting emotional fuel. Suddenly, the energy that once leaked out through conversations now powers your discipline, your focus, your ambition, and your inner strength. Silence doesn't just protect your energy, it concentrates it. Silence makes you impossible to manipulate. People who talk too much reveal too much. They expose their weaknesses, their insecurities, their fears, their triggers, and their plans without realizing it. And the world uses that information, sometimes intentionally, sometimes unconsciously, to influence them. But the person who speaks less, who keeps their intentions private, who shares only what is necessary, that person becomes difficult to read and even more difficult to manipulate. Silence keeps your emotions hidden. Silence keeps your vulnerabilities protected. Silence keeps your direction private. Silence keeps your boundaries strong. When no one knows what motivates you, no one can use it against you. When no one knows what upsets you, no one can target it. When no one knows your next move, no one can block it. Silence becomes your shield. Silence helps you see what others cannot. When you talk less, you observe more. And when you observe more, you start to understand the world in a way most people never will. You begin to notice patterns in people's behavior. You start recognizing true intentions behind their words. You sense energy shifts in conversations. You hear what others are too busy speaking to notice. You understand dynamics that others overlook. Silence sharpens your intuition. It trains your mind to analyze instead of react. It helps you catch red flags before they become disasters. It allows you to read the room before you step fully into it. And over time, silence gives you a kind of quiet intelligence, a deep understanding of people and situations that comes from watching instead of speaking. That awareness becomes one of your greatest strengths. Silence ends unnecessary conflict. Many people live in a constant state of tension because they feel compelled to respond to everything. They argue, they defend, they explain, they correct, they confront, they react, and every reaction pulls them deeper into conflict, stress, and emotional exhaustion. But the person who has mastered silence understands something. Not every comment deserves a response. Not every provocation deserves attention. Not every argument deserves participation. Not every misunderstanding requires correction. Silence becomes an elegant form of strength. The ability to walk away from noise without needing to win the conversation. You learn to protect your peace over winning debates. You learn to value your mental clarity over proving points. You learn that walking away is not weakness. It is wisdom. Silence attracts respect without trying. People respect what they cannot easily access. They admire people who move with calmness instead of chaos. They are intrigued by people who do not overshare. They trust those who speak only with intention. Your silence creates a presence, quiet, strong, and magnetic. You stop coming across as desperate for attention. You stop sounding like you're trying to prove yourself. You stop revealing your insecurities through over-explanation. You stop diluting your power with unnecessary words. Instead, your words carry weight because you use them sparingly. Your decisions command respect because you don't broadcast them. Your actions speak louder because they stand alone, without noise attached. The world listens more carefully when you speak less. Silence builds unshakable mental strength. There is a type of mental toughness that only grows in silence. The toughness that comes from doing the work without applause. The toughness that comes from solving your problems without complaining. The toughness that comes from enduring difficulty without announcing it. The toughness that comes from believing in your vision without validation. The toughness that comes from knowing your worth without needing to express it. This kind of strength cannot be faked. It cannot be taught through motivation alone. It cannot come from people pleasing or seeking attention. It is born from discipline, privacy, and resilience. Silence becomes the training ground where mental warriors are formed. Silence doesn't hide you. It elevates you. People often misunderstand what silence really does. They think silence makes you invisible. They think silence makes you irrelevant. They think silence means you are doing nothing. But silence is not the absence of movement. It is the presence of mastery. It is the quiet season before the unveiling. It is the hidden preparation before the breakthrough. It is the private formation before the public transformation. Silence is not where you disappear. Silence is where you rise. And when the time is right, your results will speak with a volume silence could never match. Chapter 9. The quiet transformation of your identity. There is a powerful shift that happens when you begin to move in silence. At first, it feels like you are simply protecting your plans. Then it feels like you are protecting your progress. But eventually, you realize something far bigger is happening. You are protecting your identity. Silence does something remarkable. It gives you the space to become someone new without interruption, without explanation, and without judgment. Most people never experience this transformation because they grow in front of too many eyes. They try to evolve while still being watched by the people who knew their old self. They attempt to change while surrounded by memories of who they used to be. They attempt to rise while held down by the expectations of others. And because of this, their identity never fully shifts. They evolve halfway, then collapse back into old habits. But silence? Silence gives you the room to change completely. Silence allows you to rebuild yourself from the inside out, unseen, uninterrupted, and unbothered. This chapter is about that transformation, the quiet kind that rewires you at the deepest level. Your old identity can't follow you into your new life. Every major evolution requires shedding an older version of yourself. But this is where most people fail, not because the new identity is impossible, but because the old identity is too loud. Your past habits whisper, "But this is who you've always been." Your old friends say, "You are changing too much." Your old environment reminds you, "This is where you belong." Your old insecurities return asking, "Are you sure you can handle the new version?" And slowly, the old identity pulls the new identity back down. This cycle repeats endlessly when you grow publicly, but when you grow quietly, your old identity has nothing to hold on to. There are no eyes watching your transition. There are no people pulling you back. There is no pressure to stay who you were. You evolve in peace, and evolution in peace is the most powerful evolution of all. Silence gives you space to redefine yourself without resistance. One of the greatest gifts of moving in silence is the opportunity to redefine who you are without interference. You can change your habits without people commenting. You can adjust your mindset without people questioning. You can refine your lifestyle without people criticizing. You can elevate your standards without people resisting. In silence, you can become the new version of yourself, without being dragged back into the old one. Transformation becomes smoother. Growth becomes natural. Identity becomes flexible instead of rigid. You allow yourself to be reborn without the world watching the struggle. Growth feels cleaner when it's private. Public growth often feels messy. You feel exposed. You feel pressured. You feel criticized. You feel judged. You feel watched. You feel measured. Every step becomes heavy because you are worried about how it looks. But private growth? Private growth feels calm. It feels focused. It feels intentional. It feels grounded. It feels authentic. It feels like it belongs to you, and only you. In private, you can experiment without embarrassment. You can make mistakes without shame. You can start over without explanation. You can progress slowly without fear of someone saying, "You are not improving fast enough." There is no performance. There is only real transformation. When you change quietly, people only see the finished version. This is the beauty of silent identity shifts. People don't see the struggle, they see the result. They don't see the confusion, they see the clarity. They don't see the doubt, they see the confidence. They don't see the nights you broke down, they see the strength you built. They don't see the tears, they see the discipline. They don't see the private battle, they see the public breakthrough. Silence doesn't hide your growth, it amplifies it. Because when people cannot witness your evolution step by step, the final version appears dramatic, powerful, and unexpected. They ask, "How did you become this person? Where did this version of you come from?" And the answer is simple: it came from silence. Silence teaches you self-trust. One of the greatest benefits of quiet evolution is the development of self-trust. When you are not constantly receiving opinions, approval, or encouragement, something extraordinary happens. You begin to rely on your own voice. You begin to trust your decisions. You begin to believe in your inner guidance. You begin to follow your intuition with confidence. You begin to stand firm in your beliefs. You begin to see your progress as real, not because people see it, but because you feel it. This is the moment identity shifts from fragile to unbreakable. When you trust yourself deeply, the world can no longer shake you. The quiet version of you is the most dangerous version. The quiet version of you does not need applause. The quiet version of you does not seek validation. The quiet version of you does not fear failure. The quiet version of you does not crave attention. The quiet version of you does not depend on support. The quiet version of you moves with intention. The quiet version of you acts with clarity. The quiet version of you grows with purpose. The quiet version of you speaks only when necessary. The quiet version of you works without distraction. The quiet version of you becomes unstoppable, because the quiet version of you is not performing, it is evolving. Silence breaks the cycle of who you used to be. Your old life is always trying to pull you back. Old habits, old fears, old environments, old expectations, old relationships, old beliefs. But when you go quiet, you disconnect from that cycle long enough to break it. You create a space between who you were and who you are becoming. And that space becomes the birthplace of your new identity, stronger, sharper, wiser, more confident, more disciplined, and more aligned with your future. Silence becomes the bridge between the old you and the upgraded you. Your identity doesn't change because you announce it. It changes because you live it. Many people try to talk their way into a new identity. They say they are changing. They say they are improving. They say they are focused. They say they are serious this time. But identity does not shift through words. It shifts through actions repeated in private, until they become a natural part of you. Identity changes in silence, not in speeches. It changes when you wake up earlier without posting it. It changes when you read more without talking about it. It changes when you discipline your mind without announcing it. It changes when you change your habits without explaining it. It changes when you elevate your standards without defending it. It changes when you stop performing for the world and start performing for your future self. This is how a new identity is created, quietly, consistently, and without permission. When your identity changes, your life changes. Once the shift happens internally, everything externally rearranges itself. Your mindset changes, your behavior changes, your relationships change, your priorities change, your environment changes, your opportunities change, your boundaries change, your confidence changes, your energy changes, your future changes. Because identity is the root of transformation, and silence is the soil where that root grows strongest. Chapter 10. Becoming Untouchable. The Rise of the Quiet Warrior. There comes a moment, after all the silence, all the discipline, all the invisible growth, when you realize something profound. You are no longer the person you used to be, not even close. The version of you that needed validation gone. The version of you that explained everything. The version of you that feared judgment gone. The version of you that needed encouragement to move gone. What remains is someone sharper, someone stronger, someone clearer, someone calmer, someone wiser, someone unshakable, someone who does not need to announce every step because their steps now speak for themselves. This is the quiet warrior. This is the version of you who has mastered the power of silence. And the world is not prepared for what happens when someone reaches this level. You become immune to noise. When you master silence, something extraordinary happens. Noise no longer affects you. People will talk, and you won't react. People will doubt, and you won't pause. People will misunderstand, and you won't explain. People will criticize, and you won't shrink. People will gossip, and you won't break. Your mind becomes a fortress. Your emotions become steady. Your actions become precise. You no longer lose energy defending yourself. You no longer waste time proving yourself. You no longer get distracted by opinions that do not matter. You become immune to noise, because your strength comes from within, not from anything outside. You move with a different level of focus. When someone reaches this stage, their focus becomes almost intimidating. You don't hesitate anymore. You don't overthink. You don't second guess. You don't wait for approval. You simply move, quietly, confidently, consistently. Your energy goes into your work, not into conversations. Your time goes into progress, not into explanations. Your attention goes into building, not into broadcasting. This is the kind of focus that makes impossible things suddenly possible. It's the kind of focus that separates the average from the exceptional. It's the kind that turns dreams into outcomes. And you earned it through silence. Your results become your voice. The most powerful thing about mastering silence is this: you no longer need to speak for yourself. Your results speak for you. Your growth speaks. Your discipline speaks. Your improvement speaks. Your confidence speaks. Your habits speak. Your decisions speak. Your progress speaks. Your transformation speaks. People begin to see the difference. People notice the change. People feel your strength. People sense your evolution. And they do not need explanations, because the evidence is undeniable. This is the identity of someone who has become untouchable. You become someone people respect without question. There is a certain presence that silent achievers carry. A calmness, a quiet intensity, a grounded confidence. People may not understand how you changed, but they can feel that you did. You stop being someone they can manipulate, control, pressure, or influence. You stop being someone they underestimate. You stop being someone they can read easily or predict. You become someone they respect by instinct, because your energy says more than your words ever could. Respect follows those who do the work privately and let the results announce the transformation. You stop competing with others. You compete with your future self. When you move in silence, you stop comparing your journey to anyone else's. No more jealousy, no more rushing, no more insecurity, no more competition. Your only competition becomes the person you were yesterday. You begin waking up with one question: how can I become a stronger version of myself today? And that question, repeated day after day, shapes the identity of a quiet warrior. It creates a life built on internal standards, not external opinions. You become emotionally untouchable. The person who grows in silence develops a deep emotional maturity. You stop reacting to everything. You stop taking things personally. You stop craving reassurance. You stop needing to be understood. You stop depending on emotional approval. Your emotions become stable, centered, and grounded. You feel things, but they do not control you. You experience difficulty, but it does not break you. You hear criticism, but it does not derail you. This emotional stability is one of the greatest advantages of silence, because once you control your emotions, you control your life. You finally understand the true meaning of strength. Strength is not loud. Strength is not dramatic. Strength is not noisy. Strength is not visible. Strength is not announced. Real strength is quiet. Real strength is built in unseen moments. Real strength is forged in private battles. Real strength is born in disciplined silence. Real strength comes from doing the work no one applauds. Real strength comes from believing in yourself when no one else knows what you are building. This is the strength of someone who wins in silence. Your life begins to change from the inside out. The world changes around you because you changed within. You speak less and understand more. You worry less and think clearer. You fear less and act bolder. You need less and appreciate more. You expect less and produce more. You talk less and achieve more. Every part of your life begins to rise. Your focus, your peace, your discipline, your confidence, your decisions, your relationships, your goals, your success, your future. Everything improves because everything started from within. You evolved quietly, and now your entire life expands to match the new level of your identity. This is the power of winning in silence. You didn't need applause. You didn't need permission. You didn't need announcements. You didn't need recognition. You only needed discipline. You only needed focus. You only needed patience. You only needed belief. You only needed silence. And now you stand transformed. Not because you shouted your goals, but because you lived them. Not because you told the world your plans, but because you followed them. Not because you wanted attention, but because you wanted evolution. This is the core truth of your journey. Silence was never about being quiet. It was about becoming powerful. And now you are. Chapter 11. There is a truth you learn only after you begin to grow. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone deserves your time. Not everyone deserves your energy. Not everyone deserves to be carried with you into your new life. The deeper you go into self-discipline, silence, and private evolution, the more you become aware of how easily your peace can be disturbed, not by big events but by people. Some people drain you without speaking. Some drain you by speaking too much. Some drain you through negativity. Some drain you through their expectations. Some drain you by demanding access they have not earned. Some drain you simply by being in the room. And unless you learn to protect your peace, your silence will not save you. Because silence is the first step, but boundaries are the shield. This chapter is about guarding the peace you fought so hard to build. You realize not everyone likes your growth. When you grow quietly, people don't always celebrate it. In fact, some people get uncomfortable. Your discipline exposes their excuses. Your improvement highlights their stagnation. Your silence reveals their insecurity. Your confidence challenges their comfort. Your direction threatens their lack of direction, and instead of rising with you, they try to pull you back. They minimize your progress. They plant doubt in your mind. They question your decisions. They make subtle comments to discourage you. They try to make you feel guilty for changing, not because you are doing anything wrong, but because your growth reminds them of what they're refusing to do. Protect your peace. Your evolution is not their responsibility, and their insecurity is not your problem. Peace breaks when you allow the wrong people to stay. Your mind can be strong, your focus can be sharp, your discipline can be solid, but the wrong person can disrupt all of it with a single conversation. Some people bring chaos, some bring confusion, some bring doubt, some bring emotional heaviness, some bring stress, some bring drama, some bring noise, and the frightening part is, they don't even have to try. Their presence alone weakens your clarity. Peace is not just an emotion. Peace is an environment. Peace is a boundary. Peace is a standard. If someone constantly disrupts it, distance becomes necessary. No matter who they are, you learn to choose your circle, not accept it. Growth teaches you something powerful. Your circle is not meant to be inherited. It is meant to be curated. You choose who gets access to you. You choose who gets your time. You choose who gets your energy. You choose who gets your silence. You choose who gets your presence. And sometimes the bravest form of self-love is outgrowing the people who keep you small. It does not require anger. It does not require conflict. It does not require explanation. It requires alignment. Your future self cannot grow inside a circle built for your past. Protect your peace. Your evolution depends on it. Your peace becomes your power. There is a moment, an unmistakable moment, when preserving your peace stops feeling selfish and starts feeling necessary. You stop entertaining chaos. You stop answering to negativity. You stop tolerating emotional instability. You stop allowing people to drain you. You stop apologizing for choosing yourself. And that's when you become unstoppable. A peaceful mind creates better decisions. A peaceful environment nurtures discipline. A peaceful heart strengthens resilience. A peaceful life fuels bigger visions. Peace is not emptiness. It is power, and the one who protects their peace protects their destiny. Chapter 12. The Final Transformation. Becoming the silent master of your life. There is a version of you that you have not met yet. Stronger, clearer, more disciplined, more focused, more powerful, more grounded, more unshakable than anything you ever imagined. You meet that version only after you master silence. Silence is not the absence of speaking. It is the presence of control, intention, and inner strength. Silence is knowing when to speak and when not to. Silence is knowing when to act and when to wait. Silence is knowing what deserves your energy and what doesn't. Silence is moving with purpose rather than noise. Silence is choosing progress instead of performance. This final chapter is about stepping fully into the identity you've been building, the identity of someone who leads themselves, strengthens themselves, trusts themselves, and rises without needing anyone's permission. You become the source of your own direction. You no longer chase opinions. You no longer seek validation. You no longer depend on motivation. You no longer look for someone to tell you what to do. You listen to your inner voice. And for the first time in your life, it's loud enough to guide you. Your focus sharpens. Your decisions become clearer. Your confidence strengthens. Your intuition becomes a compass. Your life begins to feel like it finally belongs to you. This is the transformation that happens when silence becomes your teacher. Your consistency becomes your identity. You no longer do things only when people are watching. You no longer depend on energy spikes. You no longer collapse after setbacks. You no longer abandon your discipline. You show up day after day, not because it's easy, but because it's who you are now. Consistency stops being a habit. It becomes your identity. You behave like the future you want. You walk like the person you are becoming. You think like the version of you that already made it. This identity is what turns quiet effort into massive results. Your silences speaks louder than your words. As your transformation deepens, something extraordinary happens. Your silence becomes louder than your voice. Your discipline becomes louder than your excuses. Your actions become louder than your explanations. Your results become louder than your intentions. Your presence becomes louder than your past. People notice. People feel it. People see the difference. Not because you told them you changed, but because the change became undeniable. This is what winning in silence was always preparing you for. A life where your results speak the language your words never could. You become the master of yourself. There is no greater victory in life than mastering yourself, not other people, not circumstances, not environments, not outcomes, not opinions, yourself, your emotions, your reactions, your habits, your focus, your energy, your direction, your identity. When you master yourself, the world no longer controls you. You no longer break under pressure. You no longer move without intention. You no longer seek approval to move forward. You no longer fear the silence. You thrive in it, because silence is no longer empty. It's full of power, your power. This is the power of becoming a silent master. You came into this audiobook one way, but you leave it another. You leave with clarity. You leave with discipline. You leave with focus. You leave with boundaries. You leave with strength. You leave with a new identity. The identity of someone who no longer needs noise to feel worthy. Someone who no longer needs validation to feel capable. Someone who no longer seeks applause to stay motivated. Someone who no longer explains their moves. Someone who no longer fears being unseen. Because you now understand the truth. The most powerful version of you is built in silence and revealed through results. Go forward quietly. Go forward confidently. Go forward with purpose. Go forward with strength. Your silence is no longer a strategy. It is who you are now. You have reached the end of this journey, but not the end of your transformation. Something inside you has shifted. Something powerful, something permanent, something silent. You now carry the discipline to grow without applause, the strength to evolve without permission, the clarity to move without noise, the wisdom to protect your peace, and the confidence to rise without being seen. Remember this truth. You do not owe anyone a performance. You do not need to announce your next move. You do not need to prove your intentions. You do not need to explain your growth. Your silence is not emptiness. It is strategy. It is focus. It is protection. It is power. Walk forward with that power. Let your results speak. Let your actions reveal your greatness. Let your transformation unfold privately until it becomes undeniable publicly. Thank you for listening to Win in Silence, The Power of Private Progress by Audiobook Mantra. The journey continues from here, quietly, patiently, relentlessly, until who you become is loud enough for the world to hear, without you saying a word.